Hi, let's take a look at the new item bank in Mastery Manager. So now you'll see a section at the top that says Item Bank 2. Opening that up will reveal a new interface for the way that we will add and interact with questions in Mastery Manager. By default, you're going to see all of the questions that you have created sitting here on this screen. You can use the filters off to the side to determine which questions you want to go and find. You can do that by question type. You can do that by whether they're questions or reference materials, and a variety of other filters. In the past, individual item banks were created and then questions added into them. Those item banks have been transformed into what Mastery Manager is now calling folders. So if you have previously created item banks, you're going to find those by going to Folders, clicking on the Select button, and then you'll see all of the item banks that you had previously created. That's another way to filter down your questions. You can also create new folders at any time and use those to group questions. Now, how do we interact with your questions here? There's a new interface for editing questions. So I can choose as many of these as I like at one time. I can choose to edit an individual question by clicking on this pencil button. But I want to show you what it looks like to edit multiples at one time. If I select those, I can come up to the Edit button, and you'll see all of those displayed at the bottom. This makes quick editing and adding of questions a much simpler process than it used to be. Now, once I'm in this interface, I can do everything I used to be able to do while creating or editing a question and more. So this is a single multiple choice type question. I can add new answer options by clicking into this box. And you'll see I can do things like add images, embed video, audio. There's also a nice new equation editor here that is available. I can add multiple correct answers by clicking on this plus button. And I can add new answer options down at the bottom here. So this interface has been cleaned up a lot. The actual question itself comes up here at the top, and you'll see I have the same options to add anything I'd like into that question. I can make this view larger if I want to by clicking on this arrow to open and close this little sidebar. Now, what is this for over here? I can choose to put this item into a folder. I can change the name of the item here. I, most importantly, can come to the standards section, and I can select any standards that I want to be attached to this question. So I'll just go ahead and choose one in here and hit apply. I can also come to this related area, and if there is any reference material that needs to be attached to this question, I can find it here and add it. So what else is new? From my item bank, I can now select any questions that I'd like and instantly spin up an assessment. So once selected, I can come to the top and go to Create Assessment and give it a name. This takes us to the new assessment layout screen. And for the most part, you're going to have the same options that you've always had, but again, things are just going to be a little cleaner and hopefully easier to navigate. So right now you'll see that my questions were kind of split apart here because I had some that were regular questions, and then this is a piece of reference material. You can tell that by the little book icon next to it. I can move these questions around just by dragging and dropping them. I can choose to randomize the answer choices for individual questions. And probably the most valuable thing that I can now do in this assessment layout screen is I can come up to this preview button. And in the past, in order to actually preview an assessment that you had created, you would have to go and get a code for students not enrolled in your class. Now you don't have to do that. You can just go right to that preview button, and then you can move through your assessment and see what your questions look like. So those are the basics of the new item bank. And hopefully, if you have been using Mastery Manager in the past, you will find this to be an improvement on what we had before when it came to creating and editing questions.